Every 4 years, the world stops. Billions of people across every time zone, every language, every culture gather around a screen and watch 22 men chase a ball. But the 2026 FIFA World Cup is something different, something bigger. This isn't just the tournament you remember. This is the new era. For the first time in history, 48 nations will compete for the sport's ultimate prize. 12 groups, 39 days, 104 matches, and over 1,200 athletes, all chasing the same golden dream. The scale alone is staggering, but what makes this tournament truly fascinating isn't just the size. It's the story behind every team that earned the right to be here. Here's something worth thinking about. Every nation sends its best players to this competition, but best is a relative word. The finest footballer from a country of 150,000 people and the finest from a country of 200 million are not the same thing. That's not a knock on the smaller nations. It's simply how talent pools work. The greatest chefs come from the kitchens that cook the most meals. The greatest musicians emerge from the places where the most instruments are played. Quality rises when quantity increases, and quantity rises when opportunity exists. Spain, one of the most decorated sporting nations on earth, also happens to have more registered athletes per capita than almost anywhere else. That is not a coincidence. So what the early rounds of this World Cup will reveal isn't just which countries play football better, it's which countries play football more, and more over time always wins. Let's start with Group A, where 2 of the 3 host nations make their presence felt. Mexico steps into this tournament for the 18th time, a record that places them 4th in all-time appearances behind only Brazil, Germany, and Argentina. They are a physically intense, confrontational side, a team that tries to unsettle opponents rather than outplay them, and playing at home gives that aggression an entirely different edge. Their most recognizable face is veteran striker Raúl Jiménez, a man who has somehow managed to build a second career as a social media phenomenon while still being genuinely dangerous in the final third. Supporting him are AC Milan's Santiago Jimenez and the industrious Edson Alvarez, who spent time in the Premier League before his move to Fenerbahce. For those who enjoy tracking the next generation, keep a close eye on 17-year-old attacking midfielder Gilberto Mora. That name is going somewhere. Sharing Group A is Czech Republic, a nation returning to the World Cup for the first time in 20 years. They arrive quietly, but they should not be underestimated. Their tactical identity is unusual and effective. The squad has a remarkable average height, which makes every set piece, every corner, every free kick a potential weapon. That's not just theory either. In their qualifying playoff run, they eliminated Ireland and Denmark while scoring every single one of their goals from dead ball situations. Their leading threat is Patrick Schick, who has scored 37 goals in 2 Bundesliga seasons for Bayer Leverkusen. Thomas Souček and captain Ladislav Krejci bring Premier League experience to the spine of the team, while Lions' Pavel Solk operates as a creative 10 who is genuinely exciting to watch. South Korea have not missed a World Cup since 1986, and their best ever finish, a semi-final appearance in 2002, remains the highest any Asian nation has reached. Their squad includes Paris Saint-Germain's Kang In Lee and some familiar faces, but the realistic ceiling this time around appears to be the round of 32. They'll bring energy, discipline, and a touch of the unexpected, and that's exactly what makes group stage football so compelling. South Africa round out this group, making their first World Cup appearance since hosting the tournament back in 2010. Belgian coach Hugo Broos, who once managed Trabzonspor, leads the side, with Burnley's Lyle Foster serving as their primary attacking threat. Their return will be warmly welcomed, and perhaps accompanied by some inspired percussion. Group B belongs to Switzerland in terms of consistency, but consistency has never quite translated into a deep run for them. Under Murat Yakin, who has now guided the team through 3 consecutive major tournaments, Switzerland reached the round of 16 in Qatar and the quarterfinals of Euro 2024 before losing to England on penalties. Their core is seasoned. Gregor Kobel, Manuel Akanji, Dennis Zakaria, and Briel Mbolo are all in their late 20s. Granit Xhaka, Ricardo Rodriguez, and Xherdan Shaqiri provide veteran leadership. A newer generation, including Fabian Rieder and Ardon Jashari, ensures there's depth. The issue, as it has been for years, is a lack of a truly special player, someone who can unlock a match on instinct alone. Switzerland will be difficult to beat. Getting past the final 8 will require something they haven't quite found yet. Canada, the second host nation in this group, face an anxious wait over whether Alphonso Davies will be fit enough to play. The Bayern Munich fullback is one of the fastest human beings to have played professional football, but persistent injury has prevented him from stringing back-to-back 90-minute appearances together. Jonathan David had a difficult year at Juventus, managing just 6 league goals. The brightest Canadian form belongs to Cyle Larin, who scored 9 goals in a half-season at Southampton after a mid-season transfer. Tajon Buchanan and Jonathan Osorio provide additional options, while former Besiktas man Atiba Hutchinson, now serving as a FIFA World Cup ambassador, may be spotted on the touchline at Canadian matches, a living symbol of what this moment means for a football-growing nation. Bosnia and Herzegovina's route to this tournament was nothing short of dramatic. They eliminated Italy in the qualifying playoffs, with Edin Dzeko playing through a dislocated shoulder for 120 minutes, leading from the front. Dzeko is 40 years old and playing in the second division of German football after a spell at Fiorentina. He looks like he will still be lacing up his boots at 60, and maybe he will. Bosnia are appearing at only their second World Cup since gaining independence, and they would not be here without him. Qatar, the 2022 hosts, complete this group, and they've earned their spot properly this time, qualifying through the standard Asian process rather than by automatic right. Captain Akram Afif and coach Julen Lopetegui are their key figures. They will add color without likely advancing. Group C is where things get genuinely serious. Brazil, 5-time champions and the only nation to have participated in every single World Cup ever held, arrive under Carlo Ancelotti, who took charge with just 4 matches remaining in South American qualifying. Brazil finished an underwhelming 5th in CONMEBOL qualifying, hardly the form of title favorites. But their individual quality is undeniable. Vinicius Jr. is the problem solver in chief. Rodrigo, Casemiro, Alisson Becker, and Fabinho bring experience. Gabriel of Arsenal, Bruno Guimaraes of Newcastle, and Mateus Cunha of Manchester United represent a strong middle generation. Younger faces like Endrick, who had a brilliant loan spell at Lyon, scoring 8 goals and adding 8 assists in half a season, and Bradford City's Igor Thiago have pushed their way into the picture. Neymar, however, is the wild card. He was included by Ancelotti on the grounds that he might be useful, and then immediately suffered another injury. Brazil's true ceiling will only become clear once the tournament begins. Morocco arrive as Africa's most credible contenders. Their run to the semi-finals in Qatar, eliminating Belgium, Spain, and Portugal along the way, was one of the most captivating stories in recent World Cup history. They missed out on 3rd place, but returned home as heroes. Now, under renewed expectation, Brahim Diaz, Achraf Hakimi, Noussair Mazraoui, and Azzedine Ounahi remain the cornerstones of the squad. The 18-year-old Ayoub El Kaabi is one of the most sought-after young midfielders in Europe, with a market value already approaching 50 million euros, and a strong tournament could change that number entirely. Scotland are back for the first time since 1998, having topped their qualifying group ahead of Denmark and Greece. Scott McTominay leads the technical quality, though the squad will feel the absence of Billy Gilmore, who was injured just days before the tournament began. The glaring weakness is goals. The team's top scorer in the squad is Aston Villa captain John McGinn with 20. That will be tested hard at this level. Haiti, appearing for just their 2nd World Cup ever and their first since 1974, simply being present is the achievement. They carry 2 Premier League players, which is 2 more than most people expected. Group D, and this is where we focus, includes Turkey, one of the most intriguing sides heading into the tournament. Currently ranked 22nd in the world, their highest FIFA ranking since 2017, they enter the competition having gone 6 consecutive official matches without a loss. In those 6 games, they scored 16 goals and conceded just 4. The international football press has taken notice. Sports Illustrated profiled the squad and described them as considerably better than most casual observers assume, noting that their only losses since early 2025 came in a friendly against Mexico and an official match against Spain. Key threats are Kenan Yildiz and Arda Güler, but analysis pieces have been pointing to Barış Alper Yılmaz as an under-the-radar talent with serious potential. The acknowledged weakness is a high-quality striker to lead the line. What nobody disputes, however, is that this squad is capable of going further than just the round of 16. Germany carry the weight of the sport's history wherever they go. 4 World Cup titles, 8 finals, 21 appearances in 23 tournaments. They are not the favorites this time, but that might actually suit them. Julian Nagelsmann, remarkable coaching talent at only 37, has assembled a squad that is strong on paper but thin on depth. Jamal Musiala has recovered from injury, and his partnership in midfield with Florian Wirtz offers a creative richness that very few teams in this tournament can match. Leroy Sané remains a constant one-on-one threat. Up front, Niklas Füllkrug, Maximilian Bayer, and Stuttgart's Deniz Undav are the realistic options. Manuel Neuer, 40 years old, arrives for his 5th World Cup. Germany's starting 11 is formidable, their bench is not. That may matter late in the tournament. Ecuador have not lost in 17 consecutive matches. That statistic alone demands respect. Their defensive record in CONMEBOL qualifying was extraordinary. Just 5 goals conceded in 18 matches, finishing second only to Argentina. Head coach Sebastian Beccaceche learned his craft under Jorge Sampaoli, and it shows in their intensity and organization. Moises Caicedo of Chelsea is their prize asset, alongside Estupiñán of AC Milan, William Pacho of Paris Saint-Germain, and Piero Hincapié of Arsenal. They're not just trying to make the round of 16, they believe they can go further. Enner Valencia, 36 years old, will captain them. If he scores, he joins a rare group of players who have netted at 3 separate World Cups. Ivory Coast, winners of the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations, are making their 4th World Cup appearance and have never progressed beyond the group stage. This time, they may have what it takes to change that. Manchester United's Amad Diallo operates on the right wing. 19-year-old Yan Diomande of Leipzig is on the left, after a brilliant debut season that could be worth north of 80 million euros if he performs here. Inter Milan's Johan Mandzukic, who waited years for a French call-up before committing to the Ivory Coast, adds maturity. Singo, Nicolas Pepe, Jean-Michel Seri, and Yaya Fofana are further familiar names. The one question is whether they have a player capable of unlocking a low defensive block. That limitation may define how far they go. And then there is Curaçao, a Caribbean island nation of just 156,000 people, breaking the previous record for the smallest nation ever to qualify for a World Cup. They drew into a tough group and their chances of advancing are slim, but their story, their journey, their existence here is the tournament's most extraordinary subplot before a ball is even kicked. Group F brings us to the Netherlands, perennial contenders who tend to perform at roughly the same level, regardless of expectations. Louis van Gaal, who led them to a thrilling quarterfinal in Qatar before illness ended his coaching career, is now recovered. But it is Ronald Koeman who manages the side. Koeman is experienced, though his last major club success came in 2007 when he won the Dutch title with PSV. The squad is robust at the back, energetic in midfield, but somewhat underwhelming in attack. Memphis Depay, Cody Gakpo, and Daniel Malen are the attacking options, serviceable without being spectacular. Virgil van Dijk, remarkably, is only at his 2nd World Cup. He missed the 2014 edition entirely, and the 2018 tournament altogether since the Netherlands failed to qualify. Key absentees include Xavi Simons, out with a cruciate ligament injury, and Matthijs de Ligt, who has barely played since December. Japan have attended every World Cup since 1998, and they have never stopped being enjoyable. Their Qatar campaign was genuinely stunning, beating both Germany and Spain in the group stage before falling on penalties to Croatia in the round of 16. They qualified for this tournament in extraordinary fashion, losing just once in 16 Asian qualifying matches. Hajime Moriyasu has managed them since 2018, a testament to long-term planning. Real Sociedad's Takefusa Kubo is their standout creative talent, known affectionately as the Japanese Messi, which, yes, every technically gifted Asian footballer seems to receive at some point, but in this case the comparison isn't entirely unfair. The painful news is the absence of Brighton's Kaoru Mitoma and Monaco's Takumi Minamino, both lost to injury. 39-year-old Yuto Nagatomo somehow remains in the squad for his 5th World Cup. Sweden qualified despite finishing last in their regular qualifying group, securing their spot through the UEFA Nations League playoff route. Graham Potter, who once managed Chelsea, is in charge. The squad features Alexander Isak and Victor Gyökeres as a potential double striker pairing, which on paper is genuinely frightening for any defense. Nottingham Forest's Elliot Anderson, Marcus Berg, and Hamza Edu add further quality. The decision to leave Frankfurt's Hugo Larsson out of the final squad was widely questioned. Tunisia went unbeaten through their Africa qualifying campaign. 9 wins and a draw, 22 goals scored, none conceded. Yet despite this remarkable run, their coach was dismissed before the tournament because of a poor Africa Cup of Nations exit. Their replacement is Sabri Lamouchi, who once played for Inter Milan. Burnley's Hannibal Mejbri is their most gifted player. Group G is anchored by Belgium, who despite fielding the remnants of their celebrated golden generation, remain a threat. Their best result was a third-place finish in Russia 2018, and matching that would be extraordinary given where the squad is in its cycle. French coach Rudi Garcia has replaced the more defensively minded Tedesco, signaling a shift in philosophy. Kevin De Bruyne, Axel Witsel, Leandro Trossard, and Thibaut Courtois are the surviving names from the golden era. Romelu Lukaku returns despite an injury-disrupted season, because the alternatives, particularly Lois Openda, who managed just one league goal at Juventus, left the selectors with few choices. The midfield trio of Orel Mangala, Yuri Tielemans, and Amadou Onana is the team's genuine strength. Jeremy Doku provides the most dangerous, direct threat. Egypt, 7-time African champions, are at the World Cup for only the 4th time in their history, and they have never managed to translate their continental dominance onto the global stage. Mohamed Salah and Omar Marmoush offer genuine excitement in attack, but the midfield that would need to service them is a significant weakness. The team plays a 3-5-2 structure and will rely heavily on individual moments of brilliance. Trabzonsporlu Trezeguet was not called up. 18-year-old Hamza Abdelkarim, now with Barcelona's academy, could make his first senior international appearance here. Iran have been to the last 3 World Cups without advancing from the group stage, but their squad may finally have the depth to change that. Mehdi Taremi had a productive season at Olympiacos. Sardar Azmoun, believed to have been left out for political reasons rather than form, is a notable absence. The squad is experienced, perhaps a touch old, and will need everything to go right. New Zealand hold a curious distinction. They have not lost a World Cup match in 44 years. In fairness, they have only appeared in one tournament since then, going 3 draws and out in South Africa 2010. Captain and all-time top scorer Chris Wood was dealing with serious knee issues this season, though he appears to have recovered in time. FIFA's strict ceremonial protocols mean we will not see New Zealand's traditional haka before their matches, which is a genuine shame. The team will fight regardless. Group H belongs to Spain, according to most serious analysts. Reigning European champions, they have gone 28 competitive matches without losing in 90 minutes since March 2024. Their sole defeat in regulation came in a Nations League final penalty shootout against Portugal. Luis de la Fuente has the squad playing with confidence and tactical intelligence at a level not seen since the tiki-taka era. Fermin Lopez was ruled out through injury. Dani Olmo dropped due to poor form. Alvaro Morata is no longer in the picture. His likely replacement, Samu Omarodion, suffered a cruciate injury. And then there is Lamine Yamal, possibly the most exciting teenager in world football, who may miss the first 2 group games with a hamstring strain. Spain's problems, in other words, are the kind of problems most nations would desperately wish for. Their only genuine internal debate is who starts in goal between Unai Simon and David Raya, the latter coming off a brilliant season with Arsenal. Uruguay, managed by Marcelo Bielsa, are one of the tournament's most unpredictable forces. They opened their qualifying campaign by beating Argentina and Brazil in back-to-back matches, then dropped points in 9 of their final 12 qualifiers. Bielsa's demanding personality appears to have created friction within the camp. Even Luis Suarez, Uruguay's all-time record scorer, has been publicly critical of the coach. The star player is Federico Valverde of Real Madrid. Fernando Muslera, 39 years old, returns as goalkeeper. Darwin Núñez's lack of match sharpness after a difficult period at Al Hilal is a concern for a team that already struggles to score without Suarez leading the line. Saudi Arabia are using this tournament to measure the progress their domestic league investment has made at the national team level. Their best ever World Cup result was a round of 16 appearance in the United States in 1994. Slim Al-Dawsari, still a creative threat at 34, is their most important player. Norway arrive at their first World Cup since 1998, and they arrive with a bang. Ståle Solbakken side swept through their qualifying group, 8 matches, 8 wins, 37 goals scored, 5 conceded. They were, quite clearly, the best team in European qualifying by a significant margin. The reason is not complicated. Erling Haaland scored 28 goals in his last 18 international appearances. He is the most feared striker alive. Beyond him, there is depth. Alexander Sørloth as a secondary striker, a recovering Martin Odegaard as the creative engine, and a collection of young talents in Antonio Nusa, Oscar Bob, and Sander Berge. no major favorite will want to cross paths with Norway. Senegal, Africa's other serious contender, come in under coach Aliou Cissé with an enviable record, setting aside their controversial Africa Cup of Nations outcome, where they were awarded the title after opponents walked off the pitch. They have lost just once in 23 competitive matches, a friendly against Brazil. The squad lacks a dominant individual star but compensates with collective quality. Sadio Mane and Kalidou Koulibaly provide experience. Pape Sarr of Tottenham, Ismaila Sarr of Galatasaray, and Nicholas Jackson of Bayern Munich are among the attacking options. Physical strength and defensive organization make Senegal an exceptionally difficult team to face. Iraq, and this deserves a moment, are appearing at their second World Cup ever, first time since 1986. Quietly, without much fanfare, they qualified. Their top scorer is Ayman Hussein. Beyond that, it would be dishonest to claim detailed tactical knowledge of how they play. They earned their place. That is what matters. Portugal carry the enormous weight of one story above all others. Cristiano Ronaldo, now 39 years old, in all likelihood facing his final World Cup. We said the same thing 4 years ago, and he proved us wrong. So let's simply say this. It is probably his last chance to win the one major trophy that has eluded him. The squad around him is genuinely excellent. Bruno Fernandes, João Neves, and Bernardo Silva form one of the best midfields in the tournament. Vitinha adds further depth. Pedro Neto and Rafael Leão offer pace from wide positions. Nelson Semedo, currently with Fenerbahce, is in the squad at full back. Coach Roberto Martinez, experienced across multiple major tournaments, has the team performing well. They beat Spain in the Nations League earlier this year. Ronaldo scored just 30 goals this season, which sounds pedestrian until you remember that was enough to put him level with the best single-season totals of most other players alive. His concern at this age is not ability, but recovery. Playing every 3 days is something that becomes exponentially harder after 35. But if anyone has found a way to manage it, it is him. Colombia are hoping to rediscover the magic of 2014 when a James Rodriguez-inspired run took them to the quarterfinals. 12 years on, Rodriguez is back, now playing in MLS, so at least the travel is minimal. His influence, however, has diminished considerably since his peak. The truly exciting forces now are Luis Diaz, who had a spectacular season at Bayern Munich with 26 goals and 19 assists, and a second Luis Suarez, no relation to the Uruguayan, who topped the Portuguese league scoring charts with 28 goals. The Democratic Republic of Congo returned to the World Cup for the first time since competing as Zaire in 1974. Newcastle United's Joel Veltman is their standout name, and Arsenal's Arthur Masuaku and former Trabzonspor man Simon Banza add experience. Uzbekistan, managed by the legendary Fabio Cannavaro, are appearing at their first World Cup since the Soviet Union era. Manchester City's Abdulkadir Kusanov is the most prominent individual, but Shomurodov, currently at Başakşehir, and Fayzulayev had strong seasons. They carry a genuine capacity to surprise. England enter this tournament as they always do, under enormous pressure, with extraordinary individual talent, and with a domestic football culture perfectly calibrated for mid-tournament crisis. New German coach Thomas Tuchel made waves before the tournament even began by publicly dropping Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Harry Maguire, citing their performances directly. Jack Grealish and Ben White were ruled out by injury, and yet the numbers are remarkable. In qualifying, England won all 8 games, scoring 22 and conceding 0. Tuchel remains unbeaten in official matches. Harry Kane scored 61 goals across all competitions this season, a total only Cristiano Ronaldo has reached in a single campaign, back in 2014-15. Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford, and Jude Bellingham provide genuine star power behind Kane, though Bellingham's difficult year at Real Madrid leaves questions about his form. The question England must answer is the one they have been asking themselves since 1966. Is this finally the year? Croatia show up, as they always do, improbably intact. Luka Modric is still here at 39. Ivan Perisic has recovered from his cruciate injury and returned to fitness at 37. Andrej Kramaric at 34. Mateo Kovacic at 32. Goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic, whose penalty save reputation grows with each tournament. The only significant absence is Marcelo Brozovic, who retired from international football after Euro 2024. Coach Zlatko Dalic has guided this core group to a final and a bronze medal in consecutive World Cups, and nobody would bet against him having another plan. Ghana made it through African qualifying under Otto Addo, who was then remarkably sacked after a heavy friendly loss to Austria just 2 months before the tournament. Carlos Queiroz, Sir Alex Ferguson's legendary assistant, was brought in with barely enough time to learn the squad names. Their most dangerous attacker is Manchester City's Antoine Semenyo. Captain Jordan Ayew was their top scorer in qualifying. The loss of Mohamed Kudus to injury was a significant blow. And finally, Panama, appearing at just their second World Cup since their debut in 2018. Their most valued asset is Besiktas defender Amir Murillo, nicknamed the Panamanian Cafu. Their ambition is modest and honest. They want to make life difficult for whoever they face and leave the tournament with their dignity intact. 48 teams, 12 groups, thousands of careers distilled into one extraordinary competition. The favorites are France, Spain, Argentina, and England, though any or all of them could be undone before the second week is out. Argentina arrive as defending champions with Lionel Messi at 38, quietly improved across the squad with Enzo Fernandez, Alexis Mac Allister, and Julian Alvarez having all grown considerably in 4 years. Scaloni topped CONMEBOL qualifying by a wide margin. Messi carries a hamstring concern, but is expected to be ready for the group stage. If ever there was a man football owes a second title, it is him. France have the deepest, most expensive squad in the field. Kylian Mbappe, Michael Olise in blistering form, Adrien Rabiot back to his best at AC Milan, N'Golo Kanté revitalized at Fenerbahce, the Hernandez brothers, and a goalkeeper and defensive core that has been systematically upgraded. Didier Deschamps is managing his final World Cup before stepping down. The consensus among most analysts is that anything short of a final is a failure for this squad. 39 days from the opening whistle to the final. 1,000 small stories and a handful of enormous ones. Upsets that nobody predicted, heroes that nobody expected, and somewhere in all of it, a trophy being lifted under lights that feel like they belong to another world entirely. This is the 2026 FIFA World Cup. It will not be like anything we have seen before. It never is.